As we prepare for the word preached, would you join with me your thoughts in prayer? O God, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of each of our hearts be found acceptable in your sight, for you are our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. First, a thank you. The contents of this sermon have mostly come about because of a conversation I had with Pastor Emily Lebrecht Snowden. So, thanks to her. This week, as Rachel finished up the bulletin, she asked what category to list with the book of Revelation. Maybe you've noticed when there's a reading from Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, it says sacred reading from the Gospels. And when there's a reading from Isaiah or Joel, it reads sacred reading from the prophets, and so on. Well, I pulled out my trusty HarperCollins Study Bible to double check and found genre listed in the introduction. Here, let's see. It says the genre of the book of Revelation is apocalypse. See, you already caught the joke. I read that, I looked up, and I completely chickened out, and I said, well, we can't put that. We're not apocalypse reading people. We are progressive Christians. We get a little nervous about the book of Revelation. I mean, it's been the justification for revolutions and violence, as well as a whole bunch of cheesy yet nightmare-inducing books and movies like the Left Behind series. Not to mention all manner of religious zealotry. Ugh, no, we can't put that. And if you look in your bulletin, I really did chicken out. I didn't put it, did I? Nope. But most of that is based on this misinterpretation and a falling away from what apocalypse really means. In Greek, the word apocalypse simply means to uncover, an uncovering, not death, doom, destruction. No, an uncovering. So in reading today, we need to ask, what do these apocalyptic words uncover in us, particularly on this All Saints Sunday? Well, the book of Revelation is attributed to John of Patmos, one of the disciples of the way of Jesus. He lived in the late 1st or early 2nd century. John and his community lived under the rule of Emperor Diocletian. Theirs was a life of fear and trembling. Diocletian was a terrible and harsh ruler. John and his community were always on the run. They were never sure of life. They faced severe religious persecution. It's under those circumstances that John wrote to a small cluster of churches deeply concerned about the persecution that they endured daily. And in light of dire circumstances, he uncovered something steadfast about the Sovereign One. In light of suffering and the fear in this life, he uncovered abiding hope. Now, with all its symbolic language and vivid imagery and employ of visions, this letter brought comfort to the people and reassured them that despite all appearance to the contrary, the Roman Empire's power was not absolute. It uncovered that God is absolute. The Revelation of John is a book of consolation and comfort. It's a book of hope in the face of fear. It's also a reminder that God dwells with them. God's very home is among mortals. And besides all that, it's written in code language, steeped in symbolism, so the Romans couldn't even decipher what they were talking about. See, it's hope-filled and it's sneaky. I love it already. If this letter brought hope to the ancient people who lived with such uncertainty, might it bring a word of hope to us as well? Modern day people who live with great uncertainty and well-founded fears. And on this All Saints' Day, what word might God have for us on what the loss of our saints has uncovered in our lives? I asked my Facebook community to answer that question this week. And their answers surprised me. Deep and thoughtful, people offered up their vulnerability for all to see, or at least for my 1,300 Facebook friends to see. Perhaps, friends, perhaps that's what the loss of America as we thought it was has uncovered in us. A willingness to be broken with one another and together to find strength. Think of the people whom you have loved and lost. What did that loss uncover in you? One person spoke of uncovered regret. Another uncovered loss that will never be filled. Yet another spoke of how the loss of a grandfather uncovered what a great source of support he was. Another said that the loss of a spouse uncovered a renewed sense of self, one that had gotten lost along the way. The sudden loss of a friend uncovered the reality that death is an inevitability and the sure reminder of purpose in life. The loss of an infant child uncovered in a father the understanding that he could indeed survive a tragedy. Another said that what was uncovered in any loss was the illusion that she was really in control, because she's not. And the need to do it all perfectly and the folly of it got uncovered as well. The loss of a mentor uncovered the need to carry on the torch of that person's work and contributions. For another, the loss of someone uncovered that they could trust the still speaking voice inside. For intuition had confirmed what would come to pass long before it did. For another, the loss of someone they dearly loved uncovered the truth that even with the present and pervasive ache of loss clouding their vision, they were able to see that the world holds beauty and goodness. Another person said that what was uncovered in her when her partner died was that she met the old wise woman she would be one day, and that old wise woman took over. And her capacity for empathy knew no bounds. Another said that a series of painful losses uncovered in them a yearning for home. In the uncovering, friends, we hear an echo of John of Patmos's words, "See, see, the home of God is among mortals. God will dwell with them. They will be God's people." In every personal apocalypse we experience, there is an uncovering. And don't doubt it for a second. We live in apocalyptic times. There is an uncovering in our midst. Dear ones, we live in a world not unlike the world of John of Patmos. There's plenty of fear and trembling to go around these days. And we too live under a harsh ruler. We live in a world of pervasive violence where both words and bullets rip through people's lives. We live in a world where people struggle for clean air, water, land, home. And yet, in each of these world events, there is an uncovering of reality, an uncovering of perseverance, of generosity, of compassion, an uncovering of, in some, empathy that knows no bounds. Yes, in the past few years, the worst of what humanity is capable of in terms of our ability to inflict pain upon one another has been on display, but that display has uncovered in us the best of what we are capable of as well. There's a Carrie Newcomer song, The Gathering of Spirits, where she sings, just east of Eden, but there's heaven in our midst, and we're never really all that far from those we love and miss, wade out in the water. There's a glory all around, and the wisest say there's 1,000 ways to kneel and kiss the ground. This is what John of Patmos is speaking to, that sense that heaven is in our midst, heaven uncovered. For if Jesus is God made flesh, God who dwells among us, then what is uncovered is that we are not waiting for some heaven in a storied future far away, but the new heaven is here among us now. God is with us, at home with us now. Oh, but we have to look for it. We have to look for it because pain ghosts glory, even though it's right here. We have to look for ways to kneel and kiss the ground, for it's all holy ground after all. Hope abounds if we have the eyes to see it, even ground that has been desecrated with violence and bloodshed, sorrow and betrayal. Even that ground can be made holy again. Isn't that what the resurrection is all about? On this All Saints' Day, we gather to discover that we're never really that far from those we have loved and lost, for it is in God, in whom we live and move and have our being, in this life and in the life to come. And the veil between this life and the life to come, oh, it's thin, it's so very thin. Their lives help us, even in death, because new life is uncovered in us, and we move closer to who we're called to be as new creations. In the uncovering, there's a new heaven and a new earth where justice and equity and beauty abide, comfort and hope abound, and death will be no more. In this new creation, God is at home in us and we are with God. And dear ones, in the dystopia and the decay, amidst the mess of loss and grief, when the old passes away, what is uncovered is that God is making all things new, even you. Amen.